Hey guys, this is Khalif, Fat Guy Skinny Wallet, and I hate making these videos with this webcam because everything is turned around. So like I'm moving to my left, and then it comes to yeah, it's just crazy. Anyway, um, I just wanted to make this video about this guy or this company. I'm gonna try to say it right. Abercrombie and Fitch. Never heard of them before, but anyway, they sell clothes, and their CEO actually came out and tried to get his name, Mike Jeffries. I have the article up here. He said that he doesn't want, they don't make clothes for larger people. They don't make extra large or double XL clothing for women. They make that for men, but not for women. And he had a few reasons why he wanted to do that. But basically, he said he wants his customer base to be thin, beautiful people, in his words. Um, he talked about sex appeal, and he said, looking at this article from Business Insider, he says, it's almost everything. That's why we hire good-looking people in our stores, because good-looking people attract other good-looking people, and we want to market to cool, good-looking people. We don't market to anyone other than that. Um, so, yeah, this guy apparently got a lot of people upset because of that. It must have been some people in the weight loss community too, because that's probably the only way I would have heard of it. I never heard of these clothes, and apparently these clothes are made for teenagers. So I'm not a teenager, far from it, and I don't have one. So most likely people in the weight loss community were talking about it on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube as well. And I know he got a lot of people upset from it. He said a couple other things. I'll just read these real quick and then tell you what I think about this. He says, in every school there are the cool and popular kids, and then there are the not so cool kids. Candidly, we go after the cool kids. We go after the attractive, all-American kid with a great attitude and lots of friends. A lot of people don't belong in our clothes, and they can't belong. Are we exclusionary? Absolutely. So, yeah, he has no problem with saying we don't want to sell clothes to bigger people because we think bigger people are not cool, they're not popular. They have an image of who their customer is, and that's all they're going to market to. What do I feel about that? As someone who is obese, and even someone who's had a hard time trying to find clothing because of my size, and I'm much larger than the average American, I say I don't care. I don't understand why we would care. Why would you want to wear the clothing of someone who has that attitude? Um, I mean, there's kind of two ways I look at it. The first one is that there have been a number of people who, I guess, people in the hood. When I was there, certain clothing would become popular. Clothing that was sold to a different group in society, all of a sudden us kids in the hood started wearing them, Timberland boots, or started wearing Carhartt, or, different things like that. Things that were just made for like rugged outdoorsmen, all of a sudden it was like hood wear. So, there were always rumors and stories of those companies coming out and saying, we don't want these little hood kids wearing our stuff, these little thugs wearing our clothing. We want our clothing to be for a certain group of people who go out hunting and fishing and hiking. We don't want our stuff, sitting with all these rappers talking about violence and nonsense. And, people would get upset. Oh, the CEO of Timberland said this, but you still got your Timbs on. Why would you want to wear clothes of somebody who has this negative view of you? Why would you want to support them and make them rich? If they don't make clothes in your size, good. Then you'll have no excuse to support them. And when you get to a size where you can wear the clothes from his store, you know not to buy them because you know how he felt about you before you lost weight. And the only thing that changed about you is your weight, and all of a sudden now you're acceptable to him. So you should say, I don't want to buy your clothing anyway. That's kind of the first point. Why would you want to support somebody who has that view? So why would you care that he has that view? Him having that view means that there's less of a chance that you could ever support him and make him rich. And he's also a stranger, so his opinion really shouldn't matter. So if you're, 19, 20, 25-year-old woman, you shouldn't say, oh man, I'm so fat and horrible and he doesn't sell clothes my size. No. You're not horrible because this man doesn't see you as his ideal customer, or his company is set up that way. That has no bearing on you. Um, the second thing is more of kind of like the economist in me coming out, which says it's his business. He could do what he wants. I do believe they're a publicly traded company, so he does have a responsibility to represent the shareholders in his decision making. But ultimately, he is the one who makes these decisions, and until the board of directors or the shareholders, in conjunction with the board of directors, vote him out. So it's his business. He could do what he wants. If he says, I want to exclude certain members of society when I'm designing clothes, then I'm going to exclude them, and it's his right to exclude them. We don't have a right to go to someone who owns a business and say, you have to do this because you have a business. No. You know what? He made that, and there are a lot of thin, all-American, beautiful people now that are so upset and outraged by his comments that he lost customers that he was targeting. He didn't just lose people who were big and was trying to fit into his clothing one day. He lost people who can fit into his clothing today because they came off like such an insensitive jerk in his comments. Right? So if that's the way he chooses to run his business, that's how he runs his business. Let him run his business. And if enough people are outraged by what he does, by what he said, then they'll go out of business. Or they'll be forced to change their model and probably get rid of him. So, yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about it. It's his business. You can't tell him what to do. Just like, honestly, I feel like you shouldn't be able to tell people who they can hire. You're talking about government who is supported by the taxpayer, supported by every taxpayer. That's different. But if you're talking about a private person who gets money on his own and starts a business and says, I want to market to this group of society, then that's on them. That's what they want to do. They want to market to a certain group of society. You can't try to please everyone. And that was actually a point that he made in the article, that by trying to please everyone, a lot of these stores all look the same, and they all have the same feel, and none of them stand out. With his brand is only targeting one certain group of people, so they stand out. Now, that may or may not be the case. I don't have a degree in marketing, so I can't tell you how well that strategy would work, but I can tell you, just looking at a business in this society, a business owner should be able to run his business any way he pleases, as long as he is not actively hurting people in some violent way. If he says, I don't want to sell clothes to people over this size, over this weight, then that's what he's going to do. He has a right to do that. And just like we have the ability to say, I'm not going to wear your clothes, I'm not going to support you, and my daughters are the size where they can fit your clothes, I'm not going to buy your clothes for my daughters. I'm sure he got a lot of people who turned away from his store because of that. And yeah, I just think that we shouldn't be. And he sells, I think, XL and double XL to men. And someone, I think in the article, maybe the author of the article, postulated that it was because he wanted to get athletic men, maybe like the football players, and so he would have to go up a little in size to accommodate the athletic men, because the cool guys are usually the athletic ones in those type of segments of society. So I have to say that when I was in high school, I could probably fit his stuff. I don't know if they were around then, but I can't now. I could now, but I wouldn't, just because what his target audience is, I don't fit into that, and I doubt he would make clothes that would look good on me, or I would even want to wear. So I wouldn't support him anyway because of that. But I don't knock him for saying we have a very targeted segment that we're trying to sell to, and him actually having the guts to be honest and say, this is who we're trying to sell, this is who we're marketing to. A lot of companies feel that way. We have no problem with models being, rail thin. If a designer is putting their clothes only on rail thin models, then that means obviously that's who they have in mind, but nobody bashes them. He just had the guts to actually come out and say it. It's implied in all of fashion, and now there's this trend for larger models, but you still have the majority of clothing being made, being modeled, being marketed towards women who are thin or slim, or whatever label you want to put on that, but definitely not people who are in the middle of a weight loss journey or at the beginning of a weight loss journey. But I feel that that shouldn't matter. Let him do what he wants to do. He's out there on his own. He wants to sell to only a certain group of people, so he's limiting his customer base. Let him do it. It's his business. He has the right to. But you have the right and you have the ability to say, well, I'm not going to support you in anything. And so we all can exercise our rights, and he can sell to the people who are skinny, and everybody else can say, I'm going to go shop at somewhere else. And then once we get to the size where we can buy his stuff, we can say, I'm still going to shop somewhere else. I'm not going to buy your stuff. So yeah, that's it. I don't have a problem with what he said, because he has a right to say it, and we still have a choice in what we can do in response to it. Alright, so that's it. Just thought I'd like to weigh in on that and give my opinion, because I'm very, very, very sensitive to people who try to crush the rights of businesses. And I felt like that's kind of what was going on, because he made some statements that most people feel but just don't have the guts to say. Alright guys, talk to you later.